Welcome back, brethren. Haha, what the fuck did I just say? Welcome back, guys. Um, in today's video, we'll be talking about Bright 2017. Now, Bright 2017, released by Netflix, is one of those quirky movies. It stands out. It's not one of the biggest blockbusters, but it could be. It could have a cultic following, right? And I'm one of those who actually enjoyed this movie, and I think it had more potential, right? And I also think that there could be room for improvement, and I think that I am going to point out where I think there's going to be room for improvement. Okay, like I said, okay, this is a movie that has a blend of dark fantasy mixed with the modern era. One of the things I think I love about this movie was that it was set in the modern era. It wasn't, you know, the old timey, no technology sort of bullshit, right? It was set in the modern era where humans, orcs, and elves, and whatever other mythical creatures have lived for thousands of years together, right? It's already an established universe. Now, the second thing I'd say I like about it was the back and forth between the two main characters, right? Played by Will Smith and Edgerton. That's police officer Ward, played by Will Smith, and Jacoby, played by Edgerton, right? Their back and forth was amazing. I love their chemistry together. Okay, they felt like brothers in arms, but brothers who had a wedge driven between them. Okay, they kind of hated each other but loved each other. I don't know if I could say that. I wouldn't say that they loved each other, but they tolerated each other. Most especially Jacoby, seeing as he's a good guy, right? He tolerated Ward. Another thing that caught my attention in this movie were the funny scenes. There's not a lot of funny scenes in this movie, but the ones that do occur stood out to me. For example, when Ward was when some agents approached Ward, trying to convince him to betray Jacoby, sign a statement saying that Jacoby wasn't a good cop and that whoever was responsible for Ward's injury, Jacoby let him go, or that Jacoby was affiliated with the Orc gang, right? And they tried pressing Ward. He did comply at the end, but there was this one dude, right, who was on his neck and he was like, shave a mustache, bitch.
Be smart.
Shave your mustache, bitch.
I'm not saying it the way Ward did, but that line was hilarious, man. The way he stood sizing up the agent dude, like, shave your mustache, bitch. He said it with all hatred and conviction in his voice. It was so funny. As a man, alright, being insulted about your mustache, okay, has to be, a top reason to throw hands, right? You cannot get away with insulting my mustache, alright? But then again, you shouldn't go around annoying people. Ward's police buddies, right, when they finally found the wand, right, when they called it in, when Jacoby and Ward found this magical wand, this bright one, right, and then they called in their supervisor and some other, cops, and then they were debating this shit. Should they keep the one for themselves or hand it over to the federal agents? Of course, Ward was against keeping it for themselves, but the back and forth right there between the other officers and Ward, they were ready to take out Ward and Jacoby for that one. To be honest, it was quite a funny back and forth they had there. Also, Ward's back and forth with Jacoby is very funny, especially at the earlier stages of the movie where they were in their cop car, in their patrol car, driving across town. Their back and forth was goddamn hilarious, honestly. It was funny as hell. I'm going to go deep into where I think this movie missed its mark. Okay, it fell short on some parts, and I'm going to mention them. All right. The first thing I noticed about this movie, right, was Ward's, you know, racial bias against Jacoby. Okay, we get it. Um, most of the orcs supported the Dark Lord over 200 years ago, and they've been paying for it till the current era. And I think Ward has that racial bias against him. He doesn't want to be seen with Jacoby. He tries his best, to avoid him, to not be seen associating with him. Now that might be, important to the story, right? But to me, it's just a me thing. Okay, it's a me thing. I didn't like Ward that much. He came out as a prick to me. He was fucking annoying. He annoyed me. Okay, in the beginning, he pissed me off a lot. I did not like his attitude towards Ward. It almost came out as racial bias. It was racial bias. He didn't even do a good job of hiding it. He didn't show it up front that much, but he didn't also do a good job of hiding his racial bias against Ward. He just tolerated Jacoby. He didn't like him that much. Okay. At some point, he started to blame Jacoby for him being shot. But going back to the scene and seeing it for myself, my dude was standing in front of his cruiser, right, with his face glued to his goddamn phone, and then got surprised by a shotgun to the chest. What the hell was he expecting Jacoby to do? Jacoby was like a few yards away, getting hot dogs for both of them, right? And then he keeps blaming Jacoby for not being present. Well, he himself was not present. I mean, he was glued to his phone while he got pump shots to the chest, and you're blaming someone else for your, you know, unawareness to your surrounding. The second thing that, you know, takes me off about this movie was Ward shouldn't have been the bride. He shouldn't have discovered that he was a bride. That was a poor choice, I think, on the part of the showrunners or the director, whoever wrote the script. Ward was not meant to be. I don't think he was meant to be a bride. He's too much of a prick to be a bride. They should have given it to Jacoby. I mean, towards the end of the movie, he became blooded. He became a blooded orc. So I think he had more right to be a bride. He was worthy of it at that point. To me, I think he became worthy of it. He was meant to be a bride, not Ward. I didn't like Ward holding the wand and not evaporating into dust or mist. He was too much of a prick. I keep saying this. He was too much of a prick to be a bride. Next up, I say they should have focused more on the Inferni, right? This is an extremist group. Their entire plan or their entire mission is to resurrect the Dark Lord, to bring him back, for him to rule over the earth, apparently. The entire movie just focused on Ward and Jacoby trying to protect that wand, and I think they missed the mark on the world building or storytelling when they didn't give us much on the Inferno. They just classified them as an extremist group of dark elves who are in service of trying to resurrect the Dark Lord. They should have gone more into that. I think it would have served the lore a lot better if they focused on the Inferno as a cult and as an extremist group. So some of you guys, what I'm about to say might sound cringe, but I think the premise of the Dark Lord, right, shouldn't have been the main focus of that movie. Okay, or not, rather, it wasn't the main focus, but it shouldn't have been inferred so much. Okay, he didn't show up, right? He didn't show up, but they kept inferring about the Dark Lord, right? They kept referring to him. I felt like his presence or the statements of his presence in the movie should have been kept at a minimum, right? They should have left it for a second movie where they would have delved deeper into the lore of the Dark Lord. It should have been kept out as much as possible in Bright. Those are my thoughts on how I think Bright 2 could have been better. Thanks for watching and subscribe. Goodbye.